South Sudan, long wounded by years of conflict, is witnessing a powerful shift. Women are breaking barriers and stepping into leadership roles once dominated by men. Just yesterday, women leaders submitted the South Sudan Women's Charter to the National Constitutional Review Commission, a bold move they say will cement women's voices in the country's new constitution and reshape the future of governance and peace building.
And as the NCRC contemplate a constitution-making process that is publicly centred, then the voice of such a large proportion, 50% of the population, is absolutely vital if you're going to get a truly representative constitution out of this. Much has been said and has already and will be said about the importance of the constitution-making process. And it is not just the women's voice in Juba, but the women's voice from around this country, so you have a truly representative
Joyce Ayub Philip Gaza, a program assistant at the Ministry of Gender, says education and political participation are the foundation of women's empowerment.
Then when women and girls are educated, then they are empowered, and that will bring a great change to the nation. And when you talk of family and marriage, here you are actually solving 3/4 of the country's problems. You know, when we are empowered, then we shall be able to become very good politicians. And if we are politicians, then we can rule the nation. And if we can rule the nation, then we can be able to manage the public funds. And this is where we are shaping the country to a better.
Justice Ajonye Perpetua Paya, a senior lawyer and women's rights advocate, stresses that the Women's Charter ensures women's issues are central in the constitution-making process.
So later we had this committee which had to tally up the different responses from different women of all on, but they had a lot which they expressed to be enriched by the process of legislation. But the best thing we thought, harmonize it in a charter form so that the constitution drafting process would receive the purpose of the women, why they want.
For grassroots leaders, the Charter has given women a structured way to influence national decisions. Zabib Musaloro, one of the mobilizers, explains how it strengthens women's leadership.
The Charter will support the women in the grassroots and other women in general by providing a structured way that they will be able to present their issues and their challenges, to the leadership and among the leadership of the nation. This is also going to help the women leadership to work in a very transparent and a participatory and inclusive way, in a way that it's going to help us to have even the inclusiveness of women into more leadership positions, and also having women's voices included in a lot of things that will be happening in conversations that are for the nation building.
Cotto Williams, a governance and women's rights expert with UN Women, says inclusion of women in constitution making is also about fulfilling global human rights commitments.
Of women, young people, and all citizens of South Sudan voice in the governance process, which includes the constitution making process, is important because first, there is representation. Second, there is an acknowledgement that the way that people live in the South Sudan society and the fact that they are affected in different ways when you don't have a predictable legal environment, or you don't have a process that recognizes their rights, their inherent rights as citizens of South Sudan, that it is going to affect different groups of people in a different ways. For women to have the opportunity and the right to participate in this process means that the result of the process includes a direct representation of what they have prioritized is also
Dr. Riang Yarzwar, chairperson of the National Constitutional Review Commission, says the women's voices captured in the charter will directly inform the country's new constitution.
A charter is one of the submissions, but made by a group, women. There will also be submissions by individual women, and those submissions by individual women might reflect some of the issues reflected in the charter. So what we will do after the conclusion of the collection of public views is to collect the information, analyze it, and then as a commission deliberate on it. Then from there we will make a report on the activities and the data collected from the public. It is this report that we will make at the end that will be submitted to the CDC to make the draft.
As South Sudan writes its next chapter, the Women's Charter stands as both a symbol and a roadmap for equality. For many, it represents not just the rise of women leaders in a post-conflict nation, but the promise of a more inclusive and peaceful South Sudan, one where women's voices shape the destiny of the country.
This story is reported with a grant from Journalists for Human Rights under the Tackling Misinformation and Disinformation Project, funded by the Peace and Stabilization Program of the Government of Canada.
Jabe Janet Emmanuel, King TV.